What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. I'm Antonio Perez, joined as always by Daniel Coale, DCU Penn's finest, Chris Coulter, CB Culture Boy. We got another great episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking all divisional round football. To probably the biggest quarterback rivalry, if you want to call it that.
Playoff rivalry for sure.
But well, that's where you question the playoff rivalry between Mahomes and Allen, because Allen has his number regular season, but when it matters, Mahomes comes through. But Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, Commanders, two team rivals, a player rivalry, a team rivalry, I guess you'd call it Bills. I don't know. Whatever it is, we're previewing those games. We're recapping the divisional round. Of course, before we get into anything, of course, you see we're on a new channel, our Belly Up Sports channel. Do all the same things. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel, turn on the post notifications so you don't miss us or any other of the great shows that is on this network. And then for the audio listeners, same rules apply. Follow Sideline Summit. Leave a like, subscribe to the show, download, do all the things that'll push the algorithm here and there. But of course, Danny's going to get us started with summits and plummets.
Yeah, I think I'm going to kick it off my summit. I think my summit, I said this leaving the Eagles game yesterday. I was at the game. I made a core memory. I think this is like the best game at any sport I've ever been to.
I think I'd have to agree.
Like, I was at a World Series game, and I don't want to think it's recency bias, but the snow pouring down, seeing the field get covered with snow, seeing Saquon run and the stadium erupt, the peanut punch. We'll talk more about that later, but like, there's so many events that happened throughout the game that like I think will stick with me. Like, I was at the Eagles Packers last week, and nothing about that game stuck with me the way Eagles Rams. Like, this game is like, it almost hit me in my soul. I'm not even an Eagles fan. I'm a Steelers fan. I support the Eagles. Like, they're going to be my two to support the rest of the playoffs for sure. But it's crazy.
Nah, I totally get you. I was kind of thinking about the same thing because, like, okay, so the World Series game you're referring to, it was electric, but it was kind of like your team was on the side of a blowout. So, like, I guess enjoyment, maybe that's up there. But let's think about the playoff game we went to. They go down 4-0 in the first inning, and then it's lights out the rest of the way. So it is truly for me between that, because it was a stressful game and still very exciting. But this is kind of the same thing. It was stressful, but we were never losing, but it was still stressful. And we were getting home runs, literally, by Hurts and Saquon twice. I think I have to agree. Maybe this is the best. And, of course, I like the Eagles more than the Phillies. So this might be my one. This one might be my one. That's a good take.
I don't know if anything, like, unless you go to a Super Bowl win, I don't know if there's another game that will be able to pass that.
I don't know if any sort of excitement could overcome the depths of pain I would be in, or that my bank account would be in if I went to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. But
dude, the NFC Championship's the same way. They cost $800 to sit. Did not sit. You're standing.
Yeah, standing room. Well, I mean, yesterday I didn't sit yesterday, so but I didn't really care. I was 15 rows from the end zone, so
yeah,
I was sitting pretty good. But
for sure.
I mean, do you have a plummet this weekend? Is there? I mean,
I will say the plummet. So the plummet is going to be kind of a plummet. It's that the fact that I guess I could have saved this plummet, but I have work training up in corporate the week after this day of the Super Bowl, the week after that. So like, even if I to go out and let's say the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I go to Broad Street, celebrate, have fun, whatever. I have to be up, go to New Brunswick the next morning. So it'll be.
It matters how bad you want it. And second, one day you'll swear your allegiance. One day you will, because I really shouldn't let any of this slide. I really shouldn't. But nonetheless.
Nothing sliding.
Nonetheless.
I'm always Steelers. I love the Steelers. But
you sound like you love the Eagles a lot lately. And I let
always
that
loved
thing
Jalen
slide.
Hurts.
No, we're not doing that. No. We're not doing that. You have a Devontae Smith jersey. You have a Eagles jacket, and then we're talking about going celebrating another team's Super Bowl victory.
Man,
You're not.
no. I'm
Someone
talking about
asked you
NFC
out there.
Championship. If they asked me if I'm a Steelers fan, I would say yes.
We're talking about if they win the Super Bowl.
Dude, I would go to.
They're like, "Oh, what you doing out here celebrating? You're a Steelers fan. What do you
having fun?
What are you gonna say? No. Oh, here we go. We should just start banning people, bro.
Chris, if the Bulls win the championship, there's a parade.
No, I wouldn't care, and I'm not going. I have no care.
Exactly.
Now,
see, you're the only person who's like this.
Like,
you're the only person who's like this.
If the Mavs won, would I go celebrate parade? 100%.
Okay, see, yeah, like
But
it's like
that's different. That's different. That's entirely different. Don't try to even play the that's where you live card.
It's two. I live here and
Texans win a championship. Am I going?
Wait. I'm in the same situation as Chris. I live in Philly. Jalen Hurts is my guy.
Oh, see, look at that. See, Tone, look.
We're not doing this. Tyrese Maxey's my guy. I'm not going to a Sixers championship parade.
Yeah, but you are a fan of the rival. Steelers and Eagles were the same team back in the 1940s.
The 1940s, your grandpoop was the guy like playing on that team or watching that team. What does that have to do with us? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. You're trying to get in on something
they're
that
not
you're not
rivals.
involved in.
Like
that doesn't like. What does that matter? Like, what does that matter at all? You're trying to do this thing where the same thing you do with baseball. You have two favorite teams, which I still think is outlandish. And now you're trying to do it with football. Slowly but surely, you're trying to do it.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're trying to get in on something that doesn't involve you.
I'm not.
You are though. Like you truly.
I like
are.
being part of Philly, dude. I love Philly, unequivocally. Doesn't mean I'm getting part of the Eagles fandom.
You don't even live there.
I lived there for 4 years.
Chris, you live in Dallas, right?
Yeah,
I lived there for 4 years.
You live in Chichester, son. You live in Chichester
for like 3 months.
In Chichester, and you live there your entire life.
I haven't. I lived in Philly for 4 years.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You lived in there for 16-week increments for 4 years.
Yeah, I was up there, dude. I had an apartment. I stayed up there during break too sometimes.
Okay, you know what? Let's do the math. How about it?
No math needs to be done. Chris, kick it
over. No. 16 times 8 semesters. You lived there for about 2 years. 2 years max. You're 22 years old. You are Chichester born and raised.
Yeah, I mean, who says
Chichester born and raised? You don't live in Philly. It's not the same as Chris.
Not right now.
Thank you. Chris, let's move to your summits and plummets, man. I have enough of it.
That's too long.
I needed that laugh. That's what she said. Also, so my summit is that I didn't watch any football yesterday. Didn't see anything bad. So yay me. Almost saw some BS up there. No, I'm just kidding. That's not
through it all.
I'm just kidding. That's not my summit. I can't believe it's my life. No, but my summit. I watched Rivalry. And I ain't gonna lie, that was entertaining. It wasn't as clean, but I watched Jewel Lloyd get 31 points in 12 minutes. That sister can ball. That sister knows hoop. She was getting buckets. And she blocked Skylar Diggins-Smith like maybe 3 times, and I think that was personal. But later on when that comes. So that's my first summit. The Rivalry was pretty cool. My first time watching it. Pretty cool. Summit is my team lost. And that's not even a summit. Summit. The plummet is that my team lost. But the actual plummet about my team losing is that everybody's losing their mind. Fake Ravens fans have been around for 4 months. And then people who were waiting on this loss, just losing their minds. But this is also my favorite part of sports. Because this is the part where everybody forgets what anybody's done their whole life. And it's just bad. And then in 3 months when the season's about to start again, you start remembering all the good stuff. And then it just goes away again until it happens again. So this is probably the most fun but heartaching part of sports when your team loses and they were, I don't say expect to win, but maybe expect to win. Yeah, expect to win. I think
it was a coin flip. They were 1 point favorites. They weren't expected to win.
Well, yeah. So
great game nonetheless.
It was a good game. But yeah, that's it for me.
I won't try to be long. The plummet is the Celtics they're washed. You would never believe they have the third best record in the NBA because it's just that bad right now. My guy's showing up, but on Twitter, not to say Twitter's a real place, but people are losing their minds because they're like, oh, Jaylen Brown is like the only second option in the league who can't understand that he's a second option. Whether I agree with that or not, LeBron James has admitted to being a, quote, second option, or he said we were without our best player tonight, referring to Anthony Davis. Whether that's true or not, whether you believe that or not, if LeBron can admit it, if that's actually the issue with Jaylen Brown, then, like, I don't know. Like, a lot of things going on over there. But Summit, though, it is Martin Luther King Day, which means, one, we are celebrating the life of a great man, one of the top 3 figures in U.S. history, alongside LeBron and, like, Abe Lincoln.
Steph Curry.
No, not on LeBron's level. Get him out of here.
Changed the game of the world.
That's cool. Well, he was born in Akron, and he's not even the most important person to come out of Akron. So I feel that's like Kobe can't be the third greatest of all time, or he can't be the second greatest or the greatest because he's just another Michael Jordan.
True.
That's why he can't be the greatest, because he's not even the most important person in Akron.
I think you might have to swap LiAngelo Ball over Abe Lincoln.
No, it would be LeVar. It would be LeVar.
Yeah, LeVar, because LeVar got
LeSpawn,
Lonzo, LaMelo, and of course LaDicky. If you know, you know. But
and it's a cousin. It's another Ball cousin. He's not as good.
And then really he put Eli Scott and Okongwu on. Not gonna lie, but
Eli Scott was a baller. Just baller.
Shout out Eli Scott, as Jimmy Highroller would say, the Draymond of the group.
Yes. Or the Brandon Bass, same build.
Brandon Bass. Have you ever seen Green and Bass in the same room? Didn't think so. But and then of course we get tremendous NBA games. The Hawks are going to be wearing their MLK jerseys. I like that. I wish. See, this will kind of roll off into like maybe just too many jerseys. But if you're not going to bring back Christmas jerseys, can we get some like MLK jerseys? NBA, the only league in the world really that like truly celebrates MLK Day. I feel like some MLK jerseys could go with it. And it doesn't have to be like, you know, or maybe I don't know if they do a patch or not. I'm not exactly sure.
Am I mistaken, y'all? Did they do them one year?
They did.
MLK? I'm about to say, I think I might.
Did they do MLK jerseys?
I think they did them only one year.
They had to, bro. Because I remember I was playing 2K, and there was like some MLK presentation because they had the jerseys or whatever on 2K.
Yeah, because I think it was the same year where Nike and Adidas did Black History Month shoes. I think it was that same year where they did the MLK jerseys. I'm almost 100% sure.
Yeah, the Hawks had one.
Well, the Hawks.
And a couple teams have them that they roll over and wear every once in a while. He's gonna call it MLK Day. I'm remembering this kind of vaguely. I know it's really random, but I think I'm right in this.
The Hawks might have been the only team to have them.
But I think
the Grizzlies had one.
Grizzlies,
in 2021.
Yeah, Grizzlies had one.
It was a T-shirt jersey.
Wait, that makes sense. The Grizzlies and the Hawks, like MLK was what he's from Atlanta, and then Memphis is like another site. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I feel like it was like a thing one year when they did the Black History Month, like jersey, like a shoes. The KD.
They did a Black History Month one. They might have done an MLK Day.
Yeah, I think it might confuse me, right?
Yeah,
most likely. But hey, let's get into some football. Let's go in chronological, and maybe the most controversial game of the weekend that could potentially be a hot take. I don't know. Texans Chiefs. Chiefs get the win, hosting their 7th straight AFC Championship game. Texans, another divisional round. Yeah, another divisional round exit for the Texans.
Look,
I think yeah, go ahead, Danny.
This game's might be a different story if the Texans are healthy.
Sure.
Like,
coulda, woulda, shoulda. Let's make the Chiefs healthy then. Let's make the Chiefs healthy.
You play with what you got. I think the Texans exceeded expectations on the season overall. When it comes to,
I could not disagree more.
No. When it comes to what they're playing with, once you lose Diggs, once you lose Dell, they didn't expect it.
Who set out expectations for that? I mean, if beating the Chargers are exceeding expectations, then I guess the offense was, well, not really, because the defense lived up to what they had to live up to. They wreaked havoc on the Chargers. Their
and
offense, sure, I guess, not really.
They outgained the Chiefs on offense.
That does not mean the defense played great.
Didn't play
that
awesome.
Just means that they played awesome enough to score more points than the Chiefs. So I don't really know how much out yardaging them matters. All that means is that you got down the field and you either turned the ball over, or I don't think they actually had a turnover. You couldn't finish drives. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So how much did you really outplay the Kansas City Chiefs? You didn't.
On defense,
and I don't.
So
they outplayed them on their defense has been fine all year. Their defense didn't play under expectation. Sure, maybe as a team, if you want to weigh everything together, I would probably say the offense was disappointing.
Yeah, for sure. I can say that. I think when it comes down to beating the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, you need to have an established run game. You need to hold the ball. You need to make sure that other team isn't allowed to score more than you, because the Chiefs and Bills can go outduel you at any moment. And the Texans, they had no run game for most of the game. They weren't empowering. Their offensive line needs to be invested in throughout this next offseason. It did not look great, but their defense is something special. And I think that they're coming together down the stretch. Show some hope. Show some hope for next year. Show some hope down the future that this team, because D'Amico Ryans is there, he can unite some men. He can have Stingley and young DBs and these elite edge rush duo come together, because that edge rush duo is something to be reckoned with. It's something to be built upon.
Everything you said about, running the ball, keeping possession, the Texans did it. They did that. They had 150 yards on the ground. They outgained the Chiefs by a solid 100 yards on the ground, and they held the time of possession battle. But what you can't do is be undisciplined. Of the 8 penalties that were called on the Texans, you can look at 2 of them and really question them. Of course, but 2 plays don't make the whole game. And there's another game where that will allude to as well. And you scored 12 points on offense. The defense, sure, I guess they did their thing. They still let up 23 points. They let Travis Kelce get nearly 100 yards after the catch. That's absolutely unacceptable.
He's 34 years old, 33 years old. Shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, like you can't let that happen. That's absolutely unacceptable. And then sometimes Mahomes is just gonna, do his thing. Yeah, he's gonna do his thing. So, I agree with Danny. Of course, run the ball, keep the ball out of their hands, but that also comes with finishing your drives and not just kicking field goals. And you can't be undisciplined. Cost the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Outplay the Chiefs essentially across the board. Mahomes only had the ball, I think, for like 20 minutes, if even that, and put up 38 points. The Eagles lost because one last holding call kind of put them away. Got to be disciplined.
And I do want to say the road for the Chiefs from here on out will be the hardest that it's been all year. They're going to wind up playing an elite defense with an elite quarterback. And then in the Super Bowl, whether it's the Eagles or the Commanders, they're going to wind up playing a team who has a really potentially potent offense. And if the Eagles go there, they're going to wind up playing if the Chiefs were to make the Super Bowl, the Eagles would be the best defense the Chiefs have played all year. And Saquon Barkley is such an upgrade if it was a rematch of 2022 compared to Miles Sanders. So the road is definitely the hardest it's been for the Chiefs. And I'm not saying I'm never down the Kansas City Chiefs. That's something I'll never do. But That's how I feel.
Chris, what'd you think about this game? Texans were kind of clear underdogs in this. Controversial things happen, but the Chiefs kind of did what they do.
I don't know. I don't think the Texans had enough to win the game. Just going into it, I just think they had enough. But I mean, you can say it all the time, but it's just crucial things happen, and it seems to go just bounce the right way for the Chiefs. I think that just happens. So I think the Texans played a good game, but it just didn't do enough to win it. And I think what Will Anderson said is important because anybody who's played a sport at a high level, like coaches go in there and kind of tell you, like, it's like for extra motivation, like, you got to play against the refs too. Like that's said all the time. Like that anybody who's played a competitive sport, their coaches say that to them, whether or not the refs are with them or not. That's just how, you kind of get amped up for it. But I think now it's kind of gotten into even the players' head because, I mean, us as fans, we can say we want. But when players come out and start saying that, him and Joe Mixon is kind of like, are you even focused on what you're really supposed to be doing? Or are you thinking about the inevitable in your your mind? I think that's kind of what struck me the most. From the game, the Chiefs didn't do anything spectacular. I mean, it's postseason Travis Kelce, so he can go from – and I think I seen a tweet that says he's like in his Jason Witten era now where it's like he's just so slow, he's just always open. And I couldn't agree more. Like, being older, he looks like Todd Heap. Any of my OG Ravens fans know Todd Heap was slower than anybody, but he's just always randomly open. And Travis Kelce is that times too. So it's like, I'm not surprised at Kelce. I am surprised nobody else than Worthy, other than Worthy, as a receiver got the ball. That was a little surprising. But yeah, I mean, the Chiefs just won. They won the game. It's always questionable stuff, and it always looks crazy on Mahomes because I think it's mostly how the media does it. The media darlings Mahomes so much that anytime something breaks, it could be halfway yay or nay. Everybody's going to always go to nay because of how they kind of do it. But I think he played a pretty good game. And I think as far as postseason goes, his best attribute is just being smart. Whether that's not turning the ball over, whether that's making the right pass, whether that's running, he's just smarter. And I think it just gets better during the postseason. So I'm not really surprised at anything I've seen.
He wasn't like that to start. When he played against Brady in the AFC Championship game in his earlier years, he wasn't always smart. He would turn the ball over. But this guy is 16-3 all time in the playoffs.
I'll raise you a point. That's how you get smarter. Unlike other quarterbacks, he just learned from his mistakes and just applied it. And that's something that we don't see in somebody we'll talk about later, but just learning from mistakes and applying them. And I think that's what makes him smart. Because I agree. Like I said, he didn't come out of Texas Tech Mahomes like everybody expected Caleb to come out and be Mahomes out of USC. Like, he had to grow into it. But that's the respect I have for him. Like, he grows into it and doesn't backtrack and then only gets better. So, like, for me personally, that's what I seen. Another step of we weren't winning games going away all year. That's not changing the playoffs. Let's just do what we need to do to win. So that's my respect to them for that.
Also, I'm gonna raise a point to Matt Nagy. Patrick Mahomes' stats under Matt Nagy are completely different. So that's another thing. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna try to do a little different style of offense. They're gonna throw these underneath quick passes. They're not gonna really stretch the field. Matt Nagy might have realized that McCole Hardman, when you don't have Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman and Hollywood Brown aren't Tyreek Hill. They're not going to be able to throw these giant deep shots. Even MVS was a playoff riser.
I think playoff riser is, I guess you could consider him that.
He had 100 yards in a playoff game.
Or is Mahomes the playoff riser here?
Mahomes certainly is, but like MVS had a good playoff stretch.
Because of Mahomes. Let's not call MVS a playoff riser. I think that's a little much. Because he's not even a football player if he's not in Kansas City.
Man, he had a good year for the few games.
Kelly Olynyk is a playoff riser. Like, how does that sound? Right.
Man, MVS is better than Kelly Olynyk.
No, he ain't.
He is.
Respect.
No, he ain't. No, he ain't.
Respect Canadian Kelly. The arm breaker.
Drop it in the comments. First episode on the new channel. Kelly Olynyk or MVS.
Respect the arm breaker.
Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk is like a decade into his career, and he has a stamped signature playoff game.
But he does not have a name that sounds like VHS.
True.
That's true. But he broke Kevin Love's arm one time.
That's why I call him the arm breaker. It's Kelly Olynyk, the arm breaker.
Cleveland still doesn't like him for that.
I don't like him.
But anyway, fair. I do want to say about how Will Anderson said something about the ref. CJ Stroud said it. And now I'm trying to look at it through two lenses. There's one where I agree. Like, it's just like coaches will try to basically get it in their players' heads that it's like, go into this assuming the refs are on your side so that you can't blame them later. But or I could also look at it. It's like, are y'all really blaming the? I remember when UConn lost to Iowa, there was the very controversial, moving screen. And a lot of people you can't call it at that point in the game. Like, that cost them the game. And Paige Beckers, as professional as she's ever been, goes up to the podium, says, there's so many different things we could do to just not be in that situation. Will Anderson, you could not go head first at Mahomes and make it an even questionable call. You can push him. That's fine. You can do that. But you can't lean with your head at his face mask and connect. And you can't hit him from the neck up with your hands. Actually, let me put that down. That's not even a questionable call. That is indeed roughing the passer. The second one, sure, that's a bad call. 2 plays aside, you scored 12 points on offense, and you couldn't prevent Patrick Mahomes from scoring the football. So outside of those, you have nothing to blame but yourselves. I've never liked people blaming the referees because why are you letting another... Why are you letting them determine things out of your control?
But at the same time, that's what you're on the field for. You're literally on the field to control what I can't, as a ref. And as a when I play this, bro, I get that. And like I said, I agree with that at the end of the day, because at the end of this, I agree. But as a ref, what are you on the field for if you're not doing your job? The things that I can't control, that's literally your job.
Well, the Texans gave them a lot to do. The Texans got them their money's worth. They had to throw 8 flags on them. So yeah, the Texans had him out there for sure.
There was 2 that were only questionable. And what I'll say is, Chris, I think refs in basketball mean more than they do in football.
I would.
I don't know. I had to really think.
I don't think so. I think both refs have a hard job.
It's a very hard job.
It's more replay assist in the NBA though, the NFL. I think that helps the NBA. It's more.
And keep that away from my glorious game, please.
Well, they're opening it next year.
It should. Get the call right. I don't care how long it takes. Get it right.
Dude, baseball used to not have replay.
I would prefer not to. I'd really prefer, because if we were to do that for a football game, a Steelers
6
game,
hours to watch,
a Browns game, a Raiders game, we're gonna be here all day because they're holding these guys every single play. So it's I think that one. I don't need to see TJ Watt get held and go like this to Mike Tomlin. I don't need to see it, dude.
Yeah,
I think for face mask, I think you can bring it back for pass interference. I think anything that involves the ball,
that stuff. That's what I'm talking about. That stuff.
Anything that involves the ball and maybe roughing the passer, because I guess that kind of involves the ball. But
my problem is with roughing the passer, it's so ticky tacky, dude. They might not sometimes they call it.
Don't hit them too late and don't hit them from the neck up. You can even hit them from the knee below if you just happen to be down there. If you get pushed down there and you just want to grab at his ankles, you're allowed to do that.
I think what they need to do is start I think what'll help with the one that people were really mad about, the sliding one, the one Troy Aikman was talking about.
That was bad.
Just I think to combat that, give a flag to the quarterbacks. If they're sliding late, just throw a flag on them. The same 15 yards that you're taking away, if they're hitting them late, give them that same 15. And I think that negates a lot of that.
It's such a weird, I don't even think Mahomes, of course, he was trying to draw the foul.
He does it on purpose.
Later that drive with the flop. I really don't care about flopping or whatever. But I don't even think on that one he was intentionally trying to get the penalty. I literally think he saw 2 men realize he had nowhere to go and was like, okay, I got to go down.
He dove down.
So, yeah, it's a bad call. Two things can coexist. The Texans needed to do better, and the refs need to call a better game.
I see it as James Mahomes, like James Harden. Yes, it is fouls because I know the rules. I'm going to bend them. And so I'm agreeing with Mahomes too. Do what you need to do because that is a fact. But that means that it's a flaw in the rule. I'm not mad at James Harden for going to get 20 free throws a game. Change the rule, and I'll stop doing it. That's my thing with Mahomes.
Same with Trae Young and Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then they changed the rule. They stopped doing it. Much more. They stopped doing it more. That's my thing. Make it a rule.
Well, we've talked a million years about refs when I would argue all three of these games are much better. Let's go to Commanders Lions here.
Take it away here, though. This is your boy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, man.
Jaden's my guy. And on the last show, what I said was, I might have been wrong, low key, because it was like 42 to something. But it was like, well, if you get it to the end of the game, let Jaden Daniels make some plays, blah, blah, blah. Wrong. Obviously, you need to just give it to Brian Robinson Jr. Tell him, hey, if you get in the end zone, we win. He'll get in there twice. So I think that's what happened. But I don't know, man. I think it was just I don't think the Lions underestimated the Commanders. I just don't think we, as fans, media, whoever is talking about the Commanders, I don't think we understand how good they are as a group. And I think more so, and this matters in football more than I think any other sport, maybe baseball, this team's together. And I think that really matters. Like, that team chemistry for real matters. Like, it's one thing to throw a bomb to Terry McLaurin like that. I think you talked about it on Twitter, Tone, that one that was like in between those two defenders back there. Like that one, I want to say
Diami Brown, yep.
It's one thing to throw it to Terry McLaurin. It's one thing to throw it to Zach Ertz, legendary Eagle. Great tight end. But to throw it to Diami Brown like that, in that point of the game,
all-pro safety, Kirby
in that point of the game, bro, it's like, and I think that's what it was.
And all dirty safety, Kirby Joseph.
And it screams. Wow. It screams. Steelers fans saying dirty is crazy, Daniel. I'm not gonna lie, but I will say this. I think this Commanders team has a chance to do something special enough with just. I mean, they did it now, making the NFC Championship, but I don't know, bro. I think just a team as together as they are, they only can lose to a team that's even more together like the Eagles. And I think that's the only thing that can happen. But I'm just impressed by how they played for 4 quarters. I think they played a complete game. I think the Lions had great stretches, but I think Commanders just stayed the course and played a complete game. And I think that's why they won. So I'm just excited for him. Jane Daniels is exactly who I thought he was. I'm tooting my own horn all year. And I'm not like the guys on Twitter. I'm not crazy. I don't think Caleb Williams isn't elite and won't be special because he is. But I do think Jane Daniels is special. And I think he's just really poised. I think this is what it is. He just has poise in every moment. Big moments, small moments. He's just poised. And I think that's what can give him a chance next week.
Yeah. 7. I'm going to let you 7. 7 straight victories for the Washington Commanders. Their last loss came against the Dallas Cowboys, and they were in that game. This is when Terry McLaurin had that big touchdown to tie the game late, and the Cowboys came down and won the game. Before that, they lost to the Eagles. The Eagles dominated that game. That scoreboard will not show you what the truth of that game was. And then they lost a heartbreaker to the Steelers. So they've been in the last 10 football games they've played, no matter which way you want to cut it. After the Eagles game that they played in November was the only time they actually got dominated in a football game. And in December, you could argue that Kenny Pickett playing had impact on the game for the Eagles. I don't think you could argue that.
Win's a win.
A win is a win. The fashion that they won.
36 points is 36 points. Like,
for sure.
Regardless who's in or out on that defense.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson came out. Yeah, 5 touchdown passes and a game-winning touchdown pass. You cannot deny that the Washington Commanders have been playing phenomenal down the stretch. And what you really see coming on, like Chris said, is a group of men that are together. They're taking advantage of Goff's mistakes. And I think that's where Mayfield actually kind of kept the game closer. The Bucs don't make that many mistakes anymore. The Eagles are the same way. They're not going to throw 3 interceptions. They're going to run the ball down your throat. And the Lions got away from that. It's like Ben Johnson gets pass happy sometimes because he knows his weapons are elite. Kellen Moore hasn't done that. Kellen Moore hasn't gotten pass happy. So I'm really looking forward. We can talk more about this when we preview, but it's I really want to talk more about Jaden Daniels and his deep ball accuracy is maybe second to the other guy from LSU.
They're second and third to Jalen Hurts. Let me say that.
Hey,
just because he doesn't do it doesn't mean we can't. Just know that.
That's true. But the other guy from LSU is is up there for sure. He's one of them ones, and I think Jaden Daniels, no matter the outcome of this NFC Championship game, you look at the season he's put together, and Washington knows that they have a team that is going to be firmly the second best team in the NFC East for years to come. And this is the first team that Josh Harris has ever built successfully. That's all I want to say.
And before you go, Tom, I want to say one thing. Those same talks that they put CJ Stroud in after just getting to play Lamar Jackson in that AFC divisional game, I want that same respect on Jaden Daniels' name times 10 because he actually won 2 games and is going to the NFC Championship. So that same way they were crowning CJ Stroud as a top 5 quarterback after that, I want Jaden in those conversations too.
CJ was never a top 5 quarterback for me though.
They were talking, but maybe not.
My opinion, I think Jaden Daniels needs more credit than Stroud.
That's what
I agree with that.
Or they were talking
CJ
about
was never top 5 for me though.
CJ became a top 10 quarterback in my eyes. Jaden,
top 10.
like an arguable top 10 quarterback. Jaden Daniels is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Agreed.
And here's my favorite thing about Jaden Daniels. Earlier in the year, it was very evident to anyone you ask, playing great, but they're clearly catering to his strengths, which is there's nothing wrong with that. Every coordinator needs to do that. And I'll talk more about Ben Johnson, Jared Goff on the same topic later. Jaden Daniels, as the season went on, and big credit to Cliff Kingsbury, has coached phenomenally. After those string of losses, really started to put it back together. But he started to give Jaden Daniels a little bit more and a little bit more. And by the time we get to this point in the season, he's a fully fleshed out guy who can run anything you can ask him. Except, coincidentally, design quarterback runs. He's not really too effective on those. Great scrambler, though. But my point is that little by little, Cliff Kingsbury gave him more responsibility, and he's only taken it, added it to his game, and become even better. And the difference between him and Stroud, I would say personally, is Stroud had Nico Collins, who is the most obvious breakout guy, and Tank Dell, who is a great receiver, regardless who his quarterback is going to be. Yeah, he was a rookie, so I don't want to prop him up too much to make Stroud, look lesser. He had a great year.
Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah, we ain't doing that. But what Jaden Daniels is doing, it's like you look at this team, you look at the offense, you look at the receiving core. It's like, okay, you have Terry McLaurin, top 10 guy, one of the best in the game. And then you have like Olamide Zaccheaus, who's like fine, I guess. De'Ami Brown, who's fine, I guess. The corpse of Zach Ertz, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson. Like, it doesn't look like a group that could be that effective, but with good coaching and a good quarterback, they've made it possible. Like an elite offense. It's incredible. To flip things, though.
It's all on Dan Quinn. It's all on Dan Quinn. I saw the way they respect him in the locker room. I want to say 2 things. It's the ownership and Dan Quinn. The prior ownership in Washington had men not like Payne didn't want to be there. They were like, this team sucks. Our facilities suck. When you upgrade facilities, when you make people feel like they want to be there, when you have nice things, you shouldn't have people that go to Alabama and come to the NFL and have their locker room downgraded. You shouldn't have pipes bursting. You shouldn't have railings falling in the stadium. That's a shame on their ownership years ago.
You shouldn't have fans trying to take out my quarterback.
Yeah, come on, falling on Jalen Hurts.
Oh my God, that's what I knew. Jalen was like special.
Yo,
he dodged that, helped people up, beast.
Dude, he literally looks like Cam Ward responded to that. He was like, "All right, cool. What's that? Cool. Someone fell. All right,
yeah." Come on, man. Elite pocket presence by Hurts on that one. But I agree with everything you said. I mean, when Harris took over the team with the group of Magic and all the other guys who pitched in, and Dan Quinn, I think Dan Quinn gives coaches who have been fired before more life. Like when people hired Dan Quinn, it's like, oh, he wasn't a good head coach before, and I'm victim, of course. A guy who wasn't really that good of a head coach before, you bring him back, and it's like, was this a great hire, especially for the type of situation you're in? It just proves guys need second chances. Of
Brian
course,
Flores
that
might
varies.
be next.
Of course, that varies. Brian Flores is definitely a guy who's next, who one could argue maybe he didn't need to be fired the first time, but one could argue. But point is, yeah, I agree with you about Dan Quinn. What I want to say on the other side of things, though, is I don't even think Ben Johnson necessarily got pass happy, I would say. Got away from the run a little bit. I think I can agree on that. But with the Goff just turned the ball over. Horrible play call to have Jameson Williams throwing the ball down double digits, but Goff was just bad. He turned the ball over 3 times. That's unexcusable. And here's a point I really wanted to get off before we move on to Eagles Rams, because this will lead perfectly into Eagles Rams. But when you have these loaded rosters, Niners with Purdy, Lions with Goff, Eagles with Hurts, Dolphins with Tua, a lot of people like to say, like, this team will only go so far because insert quarterback is the weakest link or he's holding them back. And I feel as if the best way to truly determine that is if when things are at their most tense, how does the quarterback react? When something isn't right, when it's raining out or a weapon is down, how does that quarterback react? Brock Purdy loses one of his stars, and he's simply not as effective. If it's raining out, if there's any type of, poor weather conditions, Brock Purdy does not play up to his usual standard. You look at Tua, kind of the same deal. Weather's not perfect. He does not play up to his standard. Jared Goff, this is a playoff game. The best chance you're going to have to win a Super Bowl ever in this franchise's history. You're the favorites to win it all, or at least get there. I guess my point is that, yes, Jalen Hurts is a little bit different than those guys. But I'll continue to ramble about the Eagles later, but I want to give these guys some room to talk. Start with Danny. I mean, Danny, hey, you were also at the game with me. So
yeah, not with you.
What'd you think about there in spirit? I promise I could have saw you. But yeah, what'd you think about this one? What?
Yeah, I was alluding to this a little bit earlier. The Philadelphia Eagles feel every bit of they did in 2022, but something's different. They have this spark. They never had any in 2022. They didn't in the divisional round, in the wild card game. They didn't play a wild card back then. They didn't have any doubt. They went in. They beat the Giants up. They went in. They hurt Purdy and they beat him up. The Eagles in this game, they facing the conditions, they had to go down and make a defensive stand to win the game. They're getting thrown the adversity. Great teams have to have adversity in their season and respond to it. And I think that's what would make the Eagles great. And that's why the Super Bowl favorites right now. They stopped Stafford on the game-winning drive, potentially. Jake Elliott needs to get his stuff together, and I think it's more so the extra points. I can't really blame him with the snow. He made 2 clutch field goals.
He made 2 regular field goals in the snow. I just make your extra points. I don't know. Maybe he needs pressure. Maybe that's what it is.
The guy elevates the pressure.
Maybe he's a little Vinatieri coded.
He might be, but I think that the best way to cap off the season would be Jake Elliott making a game-winning field goal in the Super Bowl. It would be so pure. But
pure hoops, I say.
Nonetheless, this game, I want to talk about Saquon Barkley. Everyone's talking about him. He is their pure X factor, and I looked at someone yesterday at the game. And the guy goes, yeah, Saquon's the X factor. I go, he's not the factor. He's not the X factor. He's the factor. He's the engine. He's the entire offense. If you take him off the field, this team, and you replace him with Miles Sanders, you replace him with DeAndre Swift, this team is what they used to be. You're going to have to rely on AJ and Smitty to win every route, which they can do. You're going to have to draw up good plays and let them kind of just free ball. You let Hurts scramble around and see what happens. And you see a lot of that happen with the Ravens. You see Lamar Jackson create. But Hurts is, when you watch the Eagles now, Hurts doesn't have to create as much anymore. Hurts is sitting back, finding an easy pass, finding an open guy, and taking it. Saquon's getting into second and three, second and four. And the Eagles are playing efficient football. And when it comes down to efficient football, you win the game. It's like you just can't stop someone when they keep getting favorable spots. It's like when a team keeps getting to their spots when they're playing basketball. How are you going to stop someone when they're getting to efficient shots in the paint? You can't. That's what the Eagles do consistently every single game. They're letting Saquon. You're going to run a stunt. Verse is going to run a stunt and try to make a run stop. Well, they both run up at the same run gap. Saquon's 78 yards the other way. It's what happens game in and game out. And that's why the Eagles are the most threatening team to win the Super Bowl, because they're doing this without their two all-pro receivers touching the ball that much. And then wait, you double those guys, Dallas Goedert's coming across the middle. This team is a team of destiny.
I think Commanders might be a little more destiny coded, but no, definitely not a bad take. Definitely agree with everything. Yeah, Saquon has made all the difference in the world. It's like we went from talking about anybody could run behind this line. It's like, okay, well, what if we put the greatest running back talent of all time behind it? And you see the results. 2K rusher in 16 contract. in a fair 16. Yeah, like on, like, I don't know, maybe the worst contract of any elite running back I've ever seen. Henry aside, he's a complete anomaly with his age and his talent. But I want to go to Chris on this one. What'd you think of this one? I mean, Rams were in it until the very end. What are we thinking?
Not enough Puka to the end. Cooper may be done. Sorry, brother. Every move he made looked like it hurt. So unfortunately, Cooper Kupp, you might be finished. And this is what I'm gonna say. This all basketball fans probably know what I mean. It's like adding Kevin Durant to the Warriors, but it just didn't have Steph Curry yet, like the number one player, but still an elite team. This is what this was adding top 5 player in the league to your team, and this is just what happens. When it matters, you just can't stop them enough. Like, it's nothing you can do to stop them enough. And I think in the good way, it's like I said, when KD joined the Warriors beat the Cavs. The Cavs were running the league-ish. Patrick Mahomes, sorry, brother. It's looking bad for you. But no, I'll just say kind of what it came down to. I don't think the Rams had enough just firepower to lean on. I think not getting enough big plays out of Cooper and not out of Puka until the end, really. I think that kind of hurt. I think they really couldn't get nothing going besides Kyron. One of my guys, I'm a fan of Kyron Williams. He probably is just average, though, probably. But I'm a big fan of him. I think he kept him in the game with just on the ground. And, I mean, okay. The fumbles was horrible. Yes, that kind of hurt him in the game, obviously. But yeah, just to that point, I don't think the Rams could really get enough going. So it just was a better team having a better game and moving on. That's what I'm really getting from the Eagles for.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Kupp had 5 catches, 61 yards. Biggest game
of
the year.
Like third on, right? I only had like one in the first half, right? All right.
Yeah. Big game from Demarcus Robinson on that big play. He had a couple big catches down the stretch. He's for sure he has a connection with Stafford, and he's their wide receiver 3. And every time the Cup was out, he would just always look to Robinson. So yeah,
I think the Rams had a good offensive day, all things considered. When they needed to start pushing the ball, they did. Unfortunate, Kyron did give the ball up, a couple times. I have to say, big shout out to Isaiah Rodgers. He did let up a big catch to Robinson. And if he would have attacked the ball with his hands at the interception, but he kind of just got beat for the ball. But things happen. And then Darius Slay. I mean, Quinion Mitchell goes down. Now you are, your cornerback 1 again. And earlier in the week, the DB coach gave him a tank, and it was like, how much do you have left in the big play tank? And he lets up the big catch to Puka, and it's like, man, that was like his first bad play of the day. And then completely stands on business, forces 2 incompletions. Jalen Carter steps up. Jalen Carter, absolute game wrecker yesterday. Can't say enough about him. I mean, it goes a little bit unsung, I guess you could say, but he's the engine of the defense. When he is out here, at least absorbing 2 bodies on every single play, and then still making an impact, everything else is going to flow just how you want it to. And you know, like I was alluding to earlier about how Jalen doesn't really have the biggest stats day. He doesn't have these big stats, and he has insert name, insert name, insert name. Insert name AJ Brown dropped what was about a 12-yard first down catch for him, and then dropped probably the best deep ball snow throw you'll see. Back shoulder, beautiful, couldn't put it anywhere better, and he dropped it. So sometimes, believe it or not, it can be his weapons that aren't stepping up.
As we speak, Ben Johnson is the next coach of the Chicago Bears.
Oh, was that my prediction? Did I say he was going there?
Somebody had
I think I did. Hold up, I have it in my notes. I'm not sure if that was one of the teams I changed the last second.
I think I had Kingsbury going there. Or did I?
I did have Ben Johnson going to the Bears. I did have Ben Johnson going to the Bears. Oh my goodness. Okay. We'll talk about Ravens Bills, and then we'll do the previews, and then we'll have to talk about that real quick. Like really quick. But let's go Ravens Bills. Bills get a win, came all the way down, essentially down to the wire. Chris, did you want to go first? Thoughts on this game?
It's not nothing new. Same Ravens. Unfortunate, and I'm still a big fan. Still my boy, still locked. But it's the same thing. Just turnovers killing us. No team is, and I'm not saying that like we're just the best team in the world. No team beats the Ravens. Ravens beat themselves. I don't think the Bills did anything spectacular yesterday. Like three rushing touchdowns was cool, but it was because they were so close every time. And you do that by team. I'm not taking away from them. But again, turnovers and put them in the bad spot is what kind of had that happen. So, and then I do want to say Mark Andrews isn't the problem. Yes, he had big plays, big mistakes, but he also made big catches to even put us in those situation. So saying that to say, Lamar Jackson I still think is the best player in the NFL, still my opinion. But you can't have the turnovers that he had, even though they were early and he had a great second half, elite second half, some would say. Just can't do that. And he knows that. He's got to be better. And then you wouldn't even be in a situation to have Mark Andrews drop 2-point conversion or think he's Tavon Austin and go sideways instead of going forward. That doesn't even happen. So I think the most person to blame is John Harbaugh, and John's my guy. But at the end of the day, bro, it's come down to discipline, whether that's penalties, whether that's holding on to the ball, whether there's a lot of those things. You can preach it, but at some point you got to look upstairs. And I don't think Eric DeCosta, he's put enough good players around. I think he's kind of got to look at John. John's my guy. But I think some points you got to look at that, look at the discipline of the team as a whole. And it could be discipline with him and Lamar, letting Lamar do too much, like letting them dictate too much. Like it could be a bunch of things. But it's unfortunate on my side they lost. Don't think Josh Allen played crazy, but he also didn't turn the ball over, didn't make any bad mistakes. And that's y'all just said it last segment talking about efficient football. That's what won the game. So shout out to the Bills moving on. I will 100% be rooting for I'm not rooting for any team, honestly. I don't care. It can end the draw. I could care less. But yeah, shout out to the Bills moving on. And unfortunately I had to root for the Commanders, unfortunately. Till the Eagles beat them, then I'll be back on the Eagles. I know how it's gonna work, but I gotta stay over there. I gotta stay on my side for a minute. But yeah, shout out to the Bills. Bills played a very clean game. James Cook, Ray Davis. I said it like 3 weeks ago. He just randomly comes in, gets 12 yards every once in a while, and then runs over somebody. Shout out to him. Shout out to Tavius Robinson. Finally getting some time for my Ravens. Shout out to Tavius. But yeah, better luck next year. Marlon already said this team's done. He said it. Mainly because he's not on a guaranteed. He has some unguaranteed, something like that. But I'm excited for next year. Yay.
Yeah, I saw a stat earlier today. Josh Allen had so far he had the least turnover plays, whether it's interceptions, fumbles, and I think turnover worthy plays all included at a rate like it was an absurd rate. I'm trying to find the exact stat, but Josh Allen is just keeping control of the ball. They're playing efficient. He's like a cyborg. And you're like, oh, wait, his stats don't look that crazy. Him and Jalen Hurts did the same thing yesterday in the snow. They took care of the ball. They handed the ball to their running back. They made throws when they had to. And I'd even argue they're kind of built similarly. The Eagles just have better receivers.
Yeah, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The Eagles absolutely dwarf the Bills in talent.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, like Jalen's gonna get the slack because like, oh well, your team's doing all this, you have all these weapons, but you're only asked to do that. Well, it's not his fault that his best weapon is his running back, whereas Josh Allen is just has a solid team around him, and he is the best weapon. But great quarterbacks just do what they're asked, and when they make, and I would even say this to Lamar's credit, Lamar made the mistakes, whether the interception, I don't exactly know what happened. I don't know if that was just a really bad throw or miscommunication. Regardless, a pick is a pick. And then just the bizarro fumble. After that point, I think Lamar Jackson was the best player in the football game. Now, granted, I kind of think this is a lot like Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl performance. Yeah, you got him in that hole a little bit because of the turnovers. It happens. It's part of the game. Lamar gets a little bit of the blame. He gets a piece of the pie when it comes to, who are we blaming for this Ravens game? But I don't think it's the most because he got them back into the situation and he gave them a shot to win. He put the game-tying score in Mark Andrews' hands. Mark Andrews had some rough plays. Is Mark Andrews all to blame for this? No, but he gets a piece of the pie. Fumble. You ain't Travis Kelce. And then you drop the game-tying shot. You brick the game-tying shot. It's hard because just bizarro things like Mark Andrews doesn't drop the ball and fumble the ball. He doesn't try to cut back and make it think he doesn't think he's all that. But why today? Never before has he done that. It's just Lamar. Lamar's never been spun around and just places the ball on the ground and loses it. That doesn't happen. It's so unbelievable. But you kind of got to take it on the chin. It's another offseason of having to hear the noise of touchdowns to turnovers by Lamar in the playoffs, his playoff record.
I want to tell you something,
but
that I believe
I think the performance was overall a positive from Lamar. I'd maybe give him a C+. I don't like the turnovers, but at the end of the day, he did what he had to do. When the ball left his hand for the final time, his team had a shot. And one more thing before you go, Danny. It doesn't look good for Andrews. That likely is the one that caught the game-tying touchdown or what would have been. So I just wanted to say that.
The Ravens need to invest in receiving depth. Without Zay Flowers, this Ravens team was relying on Bateman. Good game. I played solid. And Tylan Wallace and Andrew, they shouldn't live through their tight ends. Lamar Jackson's an elite athlete, and they shouldn't have to live through their tight ends. And we see that when if they were to add a Tyreek Hill, if they were to add another elite level talent outside of Zay Flowers, this team would threaten anyone who they play. The problem is if they shut down Zay and Andrews, likely he's really the only guy that can threaten you. If Lamar is going to throw the ball that day. So I think their priority shouldn't be defense in the offseason. I mean, maybe secure up a few spots, but more so go get another weapon. Go all in. They need to go all in. They need to realize they have Henry on an affordable contract. They have Lamar paid. Go get a Tyreek Hill. Go get Devontae Adams. Go get one of those elite veteran guys that's not Odell Beckham. That's not on the end of their career. Go get someone who can be a 1B to Zay Flowers, and Lamar Jackson will probably go win a Super Bowl.
The win is making Zay the 1B. Even if it's an older guy like Devontae Adams, if he's the 1A, Zay being a 1B is even better to me. I think that opens up Bateman's game more, but I don't know. I think hopefully this is what you just said, Danny. Hope it pushes the Ravens into what all the fans have been saying. Receiver and edge. It got to be the two. And hopefully somebody replace Brandon Stevens.
Well, the Ravens have always agreed on kind of what the Steelers have done is
They don't pay
developing
what they draft them.
that true and developing edge in house.
I get that.
Like Suggs.
I think they need I think they need a 1A or 1B edge rusher. That the developing thing in house, like
Odafe been developed.
we could just be honest, like the Steelers just struck gold. Like the Steelers just absolutely struck gold with
Highsmith, TJ,
Highsmith, Watt,
Herbig.
and Herbig is one where I can say you guys are developing gorgeously. But landing Highsmith and TJ, those guys were like good immediately.
Yeah.
So
I do want to note.
I think the Ravens should go out of their way. I think a top tier edge rusher should be first, and then maybe like the wide receiver, like you talked about. I wouldn't be mad if maybe you go 1A wide receiver, 1B second tier pass rusher, but this team isn't capped out. I think that's the best way to look at it. Hey, you lose this game, but it ain't over. You know, you can still get better. You know, Derrick Henry might have looked like the all-in signing, but he really isn't. It ain't over.
The pre all-in signing. I'm hoping.
I think the best guy for the Ravens to get this offseason, it's not even a 1A edge. It's Josh Sweat, Mister. Eagles probably let him walk.
That's a tier 2 guy.
It's a tier 2 guy, but he's the best on the market.
Devontae Adams.
He's the best on the market. The edge market, people just don't let their best edge walk. That's the reality.
That's true. That's true. Good thing he's not our best edge. So,
well, yeah, the Eagles will let him walk because he's not their best edge.
Yep. And who is?
Nolan Smith.
Hell yeah.
And I do want to notice one thing about Jaden Daniels as we go to preview the next week game. Jaden Daniels joined Big Ben Roethlisberger as the only rookie quarterback to win 14 games, including the postseason in NFL history.
It's certainly something to be celebrated. All the pressure is on Philadelphia this game. I mean, and let me take that back. They have a lot of pressure, don't get me wrong, but I also don't want the Commanders to look at this and like, yo, we're on house money. Like, oh, we'll be back for sure. Play this thing with everything you've got. Like this is your only chance. Because Cincinnati thought the same thing. They thought, oh, we'll be back for sure. They got back to the conference championship next year, and they haven't been to the playoffs since. You never know what could happen with health, with coordinators, anything. They need to play as if this is their only chance. But there's no doubt there's more pressure on Philadelphia. Lines are out. It goes through you to get this done. I don't even really have that many keys to victory per se. Y'all have seen each other twice. Y'all know what's about to go down. It is literally just going to come down to man versus man. And I think in this instance, Philadelphia is more talented than the Commanders. So I'm going Philadelphia. But coaching plays a little bit of it in preparation for what you've already seen. And I think we have a heavyweight fight of coaches. Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury versus Sirianni, Moore, and Fangio. I think Fangio might have the biggest task of the week. This Commanders defense can be scored on. I think Kellen Moore and his gang is going to take care of business on that aspect. Vic Fangio, yes, you were down Gardner Johnson, but Jaden Daniels gave you 5 touchdowns last time. And sure, maybe the offense wasn't doing you any favors, but they still scored 30-plus points. However you want to slice it, they still scored 30-plus. And your defense is the one that inevitably let it down. How are you going to react? Quinion Mitchell should be fine. You should have your whole crew with you still. You're not going to have Dean. But shout out Oren Burks. I thought he played a very honorable game. I think Vic Fangio, sure. If I had to give a key, Vic Fangio, how do you react to this game? I think he responds well. Give me the Eagles in a 26-19 game. Jake Elliott likes to make things weird, so we'll go 26.
Yeah. I want to start this off by saying the Philadelphia Eagles opened this week as a 5-point favorite. They're now 5.5-point favorites. The last time a team that was a 5 or more point favorite in the NFC Championship game lost was 1989.
That's the last time a home favorite lost
by
in the NFC
no,
Championship?
1998. Sorry, 1998. Reversed it. 1998. Atlanta was 10.5 point underdogs, and they beat the Minnesota Vikings. This is the last time that a home favorite of more than this is the last time a favorite of more than 5.5 points, five or more points has lost. Any favorite at all, which I think means very much. The Eagles in 2017, 2018 were a 3-point underdog. We know that because of Nick Foles. We know that that's not real. We haven't seen many home underdogs in general, so that's kind of an anomaly. What I do want to make note of is this Eagles team has seen the Commanders twice. They beat them first time, and they won by 8, but it was more of a dominant fashion than the scoreboard says, as I alluded to earlier. This team has all of the juice that you want to offer to give you the full squeeze.
That's a bar.
They do.
This team has all the juice to give you the full squeeze. That's tough. That's tough. You just think of that.
Just thought at the top of the head.
Yeah, bro, that's a bar, man. You got it.
Yeah. What the thing about them is, like you said, Hurts just because he can't, just because he doesn't have to doesn't mean he can't. And this defense is on another level. What they do each and every week, it's almost unfair. The Georgia defense was an all-time level. And the Eagles just said, let's spawn a couple of them on our team, and we're going to take the best of them.
I'd say just a couple of legit just best of the bunch.
Yeah. Chris, I don't know how you feel about this Eagles team versus Jaden Daniels and who you're picking, but I'm rolling with the Eagles. I think they win convincing fashion in a 31-14 game.
Don't do that. Hey man, wouldn't be surprised though. But no, I'm riding my guy. But I won't be surprised when Jalen Hurts is giving an aura filled speech at the NFC Championship podium about how it takes one game or one arm is one hand connected, whatever, some crap. I can smell it coming. But I'm going to pick my guy Jaden. 6% of the reason why. Tone said it, and Danny was talking about it. They may just be the team of destiny. This is just the time where it happens. But I just think they just come out and play another complete game. I think that's the only way you can beat the Eagles or even take it to where the fourth quarter you have a chance to win is play a complete game. I think it's going to be super close regardless of who wins. Well, in my eyes, I think it's going to be super close if the Commanders win, but I can also see the Eagles blowing them out. But I'm going to go 34-31 Commanders. With Jake Elliott missing the field goal when it's 31-31, and then Jaden coming down and getting the field goal. Not him kicking it, obviously, but Zane Gonzalez, the legend, kicking one. Send him to the Super Bowl. That's my thought right there. Shout out to Zach Bond. Shout out to Quinyon Mitchell. They were making every play, it seemed like, just randomly. And then having Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, I think those two are the biggest pieces of the game. If they can collapse the pocket or make Jaden into a scrambler, but not just running scramble, like mind scramble, I think that's been one of his things, being poised. They can scramble his mind because of those two up front, and then you have the rest of the Eagles defense. I think he has no chance. So I think Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are two biggest parts of this game. But yeah, I see it being a close one, 34-31.
Yeah. A part of that pass rush. Oh, go ahead, Danny.
I do want to say, like Big Ben, his rookie season ended in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
Tom Brady
in them.
Against Brady, Ben threw 3 picks. He didn't really throw the craziest amount of picks that year. I see Daniel's season running the same way. He's going to be a long stay in the NFL, but hopefully he doesn't get the allegations that Ben gets. We would never wish that upon anybody.
I don't think I could see. I mean, of course, you can't see it until it happens, but I don't know if Jaden Daniels will really unravel that way. If he did, that would be marvelous by the Eagles defense. But Jaden Daniels, I think what Chris mentioned about the scrambling aspect of it is having Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat be these fast very elusive pass rushers, it's awesome for going against a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, who's going to want to get out and make plays. I don't mean that in like he doesn't want to hang in the pocket and throw. Oh, yes, he does. But, when he knows that he has the ability to extend, it's good to have guys like that. It's good to have sideline to sideline type of backers and safeties like Gardner Johnson and Zach Bond. So looks like we're split a little bit on the panel, but that's to be expected. And I think the Commanders could not easily, but they could win this one. I do not want to count them out. They're in very familiar territory. The Commanders fans, their fan base, they not only do they live in Philly, but they are 2 hours down the road or whatnot. So they will be making the trip. This will be a very
I don't know if they're
game.
paying the $1,000 tickets to get into the game though.
The proudful fans will do it.
They'll try to. But Jaden Daniels, last thing I want to say, Jaden Daniels threw 9 interceptions on the season in total. Philadelphia owns 3 of them.
Oh, well, good to know. We did force 5 turnovers last time we played them. So the Eagles didn't. Let me not say we in this setting. But AFC Championship game, I try not to do the we thing. I try not to, because it's not from like a like when a fan, a fan can refer to them and themselves as we. Like, it's who cares? But when breaking down the game, I don't like to talk about we. That just shows any potential bias. It's not good. But AFC Championship game, two fellas who are very familiar with each other. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. It's Bills Chiefs once again.
Who
This
could ask
is
for something better?
round 4 in the playoffs.
Yep.
Is this round 4? Mahomes got him in a conference championship game, 2 divisional games.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is our second time meeting it with a chance at the Super Bowl on the line. Chris, as this is your ultimate hate watch, what are you expecting out of this game? What's your score prediction? Who's the X factor? All the good jazz.
Oh, I'm hoping 0-0. Hoping X factor is the rep that wears the white hat, not the black one, because that's usually the most important. And I hope Chris Collinsworth and Tony Romo call the game, so nobody wants to listen to it. They have to listen to it on mute. That's what I'm hoping. But since that won't happen, unfortunately,
Romo's calling it. So
no, I know. But unfortunately, Chris Collinsworth will be up there. It would have been a nasty watch. And when I say nasty, I can't say what I want to say because we're uppity now. But it's going to be a nasty watch. I'm going to say.
Wait, I like Jim Nantz.
No, Jim Nantz is cool.
Jim Nantz is great. He's actually phenomenal.
Cool. Could y'all imagine Jim Nantz and Mike Breen calling the game together? That's cinema. That would be cinema. Now
I need it. Why would you say that?
See what I'm saying? We're going to petition it for the finals when JT plays the Lakers. Trust. No, don't trust me because I'm a Ravens fan. Don't trust anything over here. No, but I think unfortunate that curly head guy just wins out again. It's no way to beat him. We tried it.
Josh Allen, the curls? Josh Allen got the curls hopping out the back now.
Josh Allen has like farmer hair right now, so I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the other curly hair guy that has a twin who's in college. No, I'm kidding. I'm picking the Bills this game, and it's not just because I want the Chiefs to lose. I'm picking the Bills. I think, like I just talked about, how the Commanders are the team of destiny. I think the Bills may be their time to knock off Pat Mahomes. I think it's a really close, low-scoring game, though. I think both teams been playing a lot of ball control football recently, and I think it's been working for them. So I see more of that again. I'm gonna say 20-17 Bills. Boston would be surprised. Like I said, my other prediction would be surprised if the Chiefs go out and win. I'm picking the Bills in a really close game, 20-17.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at that.
Chiefs open as home favorites, as they should. I'm also picking the Bills to win this game. I think they're familiar. They beat them this year in convincing fashion. Like I said, they're the only team in the NFL that has actually beat the Chiefs this year. The Broncos game doesn't count. They were playing Carson Wentz. They not only beat the Chiefs that game, they limited Mahomes. Allen was running over a defense that usually tackles well. They were running the ball well. The Bills seem to have a formula. My only worry about this is, do we get a playoff Mahomes? Do we get Mr. Run around, scramble? Oh, that kind of looked Mahomey. coming out, you know? So I think that's what the X factor comes down to. And I just don't like the Chiefs not having Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice is a weapon that's going to be missed, and it kind of stops the three-peat a little bit short. And it holds Tony's preseason Super Bowl pick to come true, in my opinion. And what I really would love, in this situation, Josh Allen versus Jalen Hurts. The X factor of the Chiefs versus Bills game is a guy who tore his bicep last year, and a guy who's the leader of the Bills defense is Matt Milano. He covers well. He hits hard. He fills the run gap. He is everything. And being able to stop the run, stop Pacheco, stop Kareem Hunt. Like, you expect me to believe a team who employs Kareem Hunt as their lead rusher after being out of the league pretty much.
Kareem Hunt's been awesome.
He's been awesome.
He's been awesome.
I just think when they play a real defense, I don't see Hunt doing the same thing.
Are the Texans not a real defense?
Nope, not anymore.
Okay. Well, without Rashee Rice, the Chiefs won a whopping 12 games. So there's that. Chris will know what I'm talking about. Do you remember the Game of Zones episode where it was 2016 and it's Isaiah Thomas doing this big speech in front of the entire East, and then LeBron's like, we literally did this last year. And it goes back to the next team, and they're like, it's like the 60-win Hawks. It's like, we have depth and all this, and LeBron's like, we literally did this last year. And it goes back to the next team, and the next team, and the next team, all the way back to the Celtics' big three. And that's kind of just what this feels like to me. It's Mahomes saying to the rest of the league, we literally do this every year. And to me, the Mahomes is going to take care of business. They still put up nearly 30 points. I think they put up 29 on the dot against the Bills last time. So offense really isn't that big of an issue. And now they're home, and Kareem Hunt and Pacheco are healthy. So you have two ways to attack this stifling Bills run defense, which I do think Milano is a bigger impact than those two combined, of course. So that's going to be a battle. With Allen in this group, though, of course, last week it was against a much worse offensive line. But, I mean, Chris Jones and George Karlaftis are completely turned it on last week, and I would love to see them try to do it again this week against a much better offensive line. But granted, I think those could be the keys. McDuffie had Nico Collins all the way locked up. One of the best performances I've seen against Nico Collins probably since he broke out last year.
Yeah. So George Karlaftis is the real Greek freak.
Yeah. I do also want to say the regular season win just simply doesn't move me. The Bills are 4-1 against Mahomes in the regular season, and then they're 0-3 against him in the playoffs. Granted, because most of the time they got to go to his place, but last year they lost at their own crib. So take that for what you will. I'm going Chiefs. Mahomes is a little bit of Brady, LeBron-esque to me. I won't bet against them. But it's more so than that. It's not because I'm not betting against them no matter. No, I feel like the Bills will win, but I'm not going to bet against Mahomes. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think they're the better team, and I think they are better than the last time these two teams played. And same could be said for the Bills, but I digress. I got Chiefs in this one. Give me 24-20.
I like that. The only thing I'm so torn. I actually feel like the Bills are the better team, but the Chiefs are have the better players. If that makes any sense.
What's he building in there?
That might not make sense to you at all, but I think the Bills are the better.
Are you saying the Bills are better coached, but the Chiefs are more talented?
No, I think the Bills
because better coached than Andy and Spags is kind of
the better collective unit. I think as the Bills, I like the way they mesh.
But the Chiefs have the higher end players.
Exactly.
So they're more top heavy. Okay.
Yeah.
Better roster, better superstars.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, And I guess that does mean a lot because, I mean, when Josh Allen's on the other side of the field, if you manage to have better superstars than that, you're quite the team. But I would argue the Bills have already beaten a team that were more top heavy than them. I think the Ravens had the biggest superstar in the game. They had Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry would be probably the third biggest superstar of the game, with Allen being 2, and they still got it done. So that logic isn't flawed, I would say.
Henry had one of his worst showings of the year.
Well, he started to turn it up a little bit in the second half. He started to get, but then again, what do you have? 16 carries,
16 for 84.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad at all.
It's not bad, but
it's
one of it
going in the second half. But he's like a locomotive, Like you really got to get him going. It's not acceptable. Saquon, on the other hand, it gets 24 carries, and you would think we're not running the ball enough.
Yeah.
So I get Henry's a little old, but give him the ball until it's proven that he can't, I say.
Agreed.
But that's enough of the championship game. This is an extended segment. We didn't plan on doing this, but of course, this broke mid-episode, as you heard earlier. Ben Johnson will be going to coach Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. We were talking about Caleb a little bit earlier. In comparison to Jaden Daniels clearly more special this year, but, this could be the definition of evening the playing field when it comes to these two as young quarterback rivals. And poor Drake May, he doesn't have his offensive guy yet. But these two, I mean,
Cliff's on the way, Chris.
Nah, who's on the way? T. Higgins. T. Higgins is his offensive mind.
T. Higgins is his Ben Johnson. That's hilarious. Yeah. But Ben Johnson, not only do I think is a better offensive mind than Cliff Kingsbury, but at the end of the day, I still believe Caleb Williams has more innate talent than Jaden Daniels. Now, it's certainly not as large as I thought it once was, because Jaden Daniels I've watched a young man just grow into himself, grow his game tremendously. But Caleb Williams, with the talent he has and the offensive mastermind that Ben Johnson is, this just feels like a match made in heaven. He's going to have Caleb Williams at least 3 more years on his rookie deal. They're really going to be able to flesh this team out around him. And there's really not that much to do offensively. DJ Moore is still a beast. Rome Odunze showed flashes, and Keenan Allen, for whatever reason, still has enough to be a good wide receiver 3. Now, with Ben Johnson's creativity, I think they'll be able to really get things going how you thought they would go this year, as long as they can make some offensive line improvements. And then the defense is still good. So 10 out of 10 higher. A+. This was the guy I wanted them to go get, and they got it done.
This feels very Kevin O'Connell to the Vikings.
I like that. Except the Vikings didn't have the quarterback until next year. But
the Vikings had a decent defense, though.
They had, I mean, the Bears have a good defense too. They don't have Brian Flores though. Brian Flores will make mashed potatoes and collard greens into a top 15 defense.
What I've heard is Ben Johnson is bringing over Dennis Allen. It's likely to bring over Dennis Allen from the Saints. Well, I guess he's not in the Saints anymore, but used to be. Very good defensive coordinator for the Saints. Not the best head coach, but so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Sorry, could you hear the snapping?
Snapping?
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to get someone to sorry, but
you're good.
I didn't know if I could hear that. I thought I was on mute, but
not at all. I just think it's beautiful to see. Chris, I know all your Chicagoans are gonna be happy to hear it.
No, you'd be surprised. Chicago, most Bears fans and Bulls fans, not sorry for listening to this, are idiots. So they obviously were telling me out of their mouth that Caleb Williams had a bad year, which unfortunately, when you add context, he did not have a bad year, and he didn't turn the ball over much for a rookie quarterback. So
he had bad games, not a bad year.
Bad games, but a bad year would be, in my opinion, would be 15 interceptions and 5 fumbles and this and that. Like, he didn't turn the ball over. And I think that was a big part. But yeah, most fans, that's what I'm looking at. Most fans are like, I mean, it's cool, but he was a coordinator. So they have no faith. But also they think that the Bears and Bulls have been good when they haven't been good since the mid-90s. So that's just life. That's the life of Chicago fans, Danny.
Fair enough.
Nothing you can do about it. You're too smart for that. You can't help them out over there.
I do have to say, I saw the addition of the Dennis Allen, defensive coordinator. Great. He is a good defensive coordinator. I'm not afraid to say that. Now, of course, we do have to consider how's Ben Johnson as a head coach. We're going to find out. But the weapons are there. The formula is there. I'm very excited for the Bears, and maybe I'm going to be drinking too much of the navy blue and orange juice heading into next year, but I have to say I'm excited. I really am.
Yeah,
I think Caleb's a fast learner. I think this is going to be a great system to absorb lots of knowledge in. I think we could be looking at a Jalen Hurts type of year 1 starter, year 2 starter type of jump on another level because Caleb is just that much more innately talented than Jalen Hurts.
I can see that. Interesting name to watch for the Bears DC. If Robert Saleh doesn't get a head coaching job.
That's what I want. That's what I want. I want him to get a defensive coordinator job somewhere, and I would not mind the Bears because I want to see Caleb do well. I would not mind.
Robert Saleh.
I like that.
And that would honestly make me feel better as Ben Johnson as a head coach because Robert Saleh is head coach material. And if he's willing to work under a guy like Ben Johnson, don't get me salivating and fantasizing about
Wait
things.
a second. I got something better, Danny. Don't worry about it. I just thought it up. Zach Orr, good job. Thanks. Scoot over. Robert Saleh, you come 3 years. Then you teach Zach Orr everything you know. Then John Harbaugh, you're old. Saleh, you move up. Zach Orr, you do the defense now. Do you hear what I'm saying? Are y'all running with me?
Harbaugh's not old.
No. I'm making him older than what I am. But Danny, you're not listening. Listen, he's old now. He has to go. So now 3 years later,
phony birth certificate.
What is he, 75 now when he's 3 years later? Perfect.
Bro.
Then we get him out of here. He retires, goes to the front office. Now he's up there with Eric DaCosta. Everybody wins.
You gonna give him the Brad Stevens role, bro? Come on now.
Yeah, and look at what Brad Stevens did. Look what he did.
That's disrespect.
Normalize doing that. Okay,
Look what Brad
this is
Stevens
not the NFL.
weird.
Look what he did.
Normalize that. I'm telling you, when you have a coach who just like maybe can't exactly win the championship, but he knows his roster, he knows his guys, just bump him up.
And the guys like him.
He was like, no. He was like, I got Tatum, I got Brown, I know what works with them. We got Rob Will, we got Smart. I'm just gonna move up. We're gonna plug a new guy in there, and I'm gonna fill this out from a distance while Udoka figures it out, and then eventually Missoula figures it out.
And do you hear that? That sounds good. Then look, can't you imagine John Harbaugh up there with his glasses and his hat and his fleece on under his puffer jacket? He has on 2 coats at once, like always, and he's up there just clapping as the Ravens are beating the brakes off of Jaden Daniels and the Commanders in Super Bowl.
Chris, unfortunately, humility exists, and he wouldn't allow that to happen. He would go out there and be a head coach somewhere else.
Humidity. The seat's hot, John. Get up. No, I'm just kidding. You're right.
I mean, I think his seat is hot in the same way that Tomlin's is hot, you know?
Yeah. It's like, my thing is, too, you don't know what you got till it's gone on both sides.
That is true.
You don't know what
that
you
is
got.
true.
Man, that Ravens defense might unravel without Harbaugh.
I do also want to say, with the hiring of Johnson, that's an offensive guy off the board and another spot filled, so that decreases the chance of Todd Monken leaving.
That is good. That is good.
You need as many CEO and defensive guys off the board in these vacant roles so that Monken will stay. Because know what could just do it? Lamar getting a second year under a coordinator. It's very like Jalen Hurts.
This trick right here. This trick. Todd Monken goes and puts on a Zach Orr suit. Zach Orr suit puts on the Todd Monken suit. They take Zach Orr on accident. Todd Monken stays. Then we have to replace Zach Orr with Robert Saleh. I'm picking it up right here, y'all. I'm doing it.
Here, okay. Well, here's what unfortunately is going to happen. It's Kellen Moore leaves. Boo-hoo. He takes the Cowboys job. We take Todd Monken from you.
Not happening.
Why not?
I don't think I would watch the sport anymore.
Don't worry. Y'all are firing Tomlin and you're hiring. I don't even know. You're hiring Bobby Slowick.
I think what you forgot what's going on is the Eagles are bringing in Mike McCarthy to be their offensive coordinator.
I mean, he ain't bad. He ain't a bad offensive coordinator. He gonna have to work under Nick though.
He will.
The real nightmare dog loves getting traded for Jalen Hurts.
What I do want to see, I do want to note the New Orleans and the Jets are Aaron Glenn's top 2 candidates. And Jacksonville is interested in Saleh, Brady, and Liam Cohen of the Bucks. those are the likely candidates in their landing spots right now, as of Adam Schefter.
Oh.
So,
okay, well, that's enough on a coaching carousel. Before we get on out of here, most consecutive playoff games without an interception in NFL history. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts tied with 6. One is considered the GOAT. One is considered bum. Replace him with any quarterback. This team's elite. Their stats in those games. Mahomes, 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns. Hurts, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. Look, just because we don't doesn't mean we can't. And I love that saying. And my 2 favorite athletes are the epitome of that. Him and Jason Tatum. Just because Jason Tatum doesn't go out there and give you 32 a night doesn't mean he can't. It's just that he doesn't have to. So
if Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl and he gives us the corniest, I might have the corniest win
don't
speech
manifest
like
this,
Tatum.
Don't manifest this.
I will be hurt because I know he's not good at corny.
See,
like,
but
I don't want we did it.
He ain't gonna do that. He ain't gonna do that. First of all, that wasn't corny. That's very iconic.
That's not iconic.
That's very iconic,
corny,
and it's
bro.
called paying homage. It's called paying homage. Believe it or not.
The only reason why it was corny, he couldn't even get his breath out when he first tried to say it. He's like, "We did it. We did it." All right, brother.
There was realization. No, because you really gotta break down the film. It was
the
realization. Don't talk about the anomaly that way. Hold up, because we got a whole bunch of new nicknames this week. We got the anomaly. We got the Green Mamba. No one calls him that.
Hey, that's kind
we
of
got
cool,
we got Agent Zero. That's literally Gilbert Arenas. This is one I like. Duke of Boston.
That's fine.
I kind of like it.
Green Mamba.
I kind of like it, but it's very literal.
Green Mamba got me though. I like that.
No one's gonna give him that though because
that's
it's
cold though.
Rip off Kobe wannabe. No.
You know what you need to do? You need to drop a Tatum 3 Green Mamba and then it'll stick.